Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You're back tuned in with the Down the Spirit conversation, as we say. We got the one and only Sound Off the General up here up top. And then you got Mental Coach Kev in here. Man, we back in. Y'all know we just come in and just have well, if you don't know, we meet together as brothers just to have conversations about cool topics and things that might be of interest to us, kind of in the mental space or life space or spiritual space. And that's what the conversation podcast is all about. Man, it's one of these days for us, man. It's been a lot going on. We both kind of over here looking tired. If y'all ain't noticed, you see Sound Off up there. I was saying, man, look like you're mad. And so I'm gonna ask you, man. I'll ask you this question, man. How is your mental health today?
My, I'm just tired. That's it.
Just tired.
Yeah.
And the topic we on today is I just said it. The topic is finding the good and the bad, which some people have a hard time doing that, and I have seen some people, man, that really make it their thing to actually find good in the midst of the bad things, because they say that you can attach, you can't control what happened in life, so to speak, with some things, but you can have the control in attaching what meaning you want to attach to each life experience that you experience, right? You could look for the lesson in things, and it was this big discussion that was on this actual radio show back in the day with a guy named Stephen Parkhill. He does an amazing book called Answer Cancer. He's a hypnotherapist. So he had a talk show back in the day, and this topic came up, and people was calling in, cussing and talking crazy. And this one lady was like, "My son, whatever, my kid died, blah blah blah, at this age of SIDS. Find the good in that." And he was like, "Dang." He kind of paused for a moment. And he was like, "Well, wait a minute." He said something just told him to ask. Well, how was y'all family before that? How was the family? Was the family all in good shape, or what? And then he was like, "No, we was all at ends with each other." And he was like, "Well, what happened after, the passing of the child?" And the mama was like, "Well, we actually all it brought us all together as a family again, right?" So
Mhm.
that's one of them situations where you can actually, the person could attach whatever meaning they want to attach to it. They can attach the meaning of God, why did you do this? Why me? Which I understand it because, to have something happen with your child, that's a lot. It takes a lot, but hopefully you can still build up and rally up, and bring whatever positive meaning you can or lessons you can get from each situation, because some things are, considered to be out of some people's control, so to speak, but you do have control, hopefully, over the way you feel.
Right.
And talking about that, a lot of people just easily get moved to and fro about, how people control them emotionally. Like, like we always talk about a lot about getting cut off in traffic or different things that happen to you in life. I was just talking with intuitive lady, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This lady with psychic powers. And she was explaining the situation where she was trying to tell this lady, like, look, don't go do, I know you want to go on the bad one with this guy that you're dating, I know you got all of these women and all this stuff. And the girl was complaining about that. And she was like, hey, look, either get in line or, or find another guy. If you want to deal with him, you're gonna have to basically get in line because you got the, the women on deck. And she was just like, no, she wasn't having it. Like, I'm gonna do this to him and da 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 da. She's like, look, you don't want to do that, because it's gonna be very bad for you. Told her a number of times, but you know how people is, when they get in this mode of anger, like, man, nah, forget it. Ain't nobody gonna do this. Ain't nobody da da. And long story short, they end up, she ended up being, missing. And then her mom came to see the intuitive lady and was like, hey, uh, I'm trying to see what's good with my daughter. She's been missing. And they end up finding her later on in some other state, you know, unfortunately, deceased, you know. So that's an example of a person just having, just letting their emotions take control of them, right? She was in so much anger of, the fact that this guy that she felt like she loved, that had all these other women, he was doing this particular thing to her, doing it the wrong way, not making her the single woman. And instead of leaving and finding another person, she felt like she just had to, through anger, what I'm saying, give him a piece of her mind to do whatever she said she was going to do to him. And then now she ain't here to even, experience life anymore, unfortunately. So, what's some of the things in life, that takes control of you? Is it those traffic situations? Is it your spouse? Is it, the co-workers,
Their
people can,
children.
if people can, yeah, exactly. They say if people can, control you emotionally, they got control over you. So get your control back. Now, this topic here was pretty interesting, and Sound Off, I owe it to him for bringing it up. And he was mentioning a number of different situations and experiences that he had with some people that he might have experienced in the workplace or life space, or just stories that you heard online. Do you remember some of them stories that you?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, let's let you take over then, bro.
So I encountered a young man that has a child that's on the spectrum, has autism.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a very severe form of autism where she's nonverbal. She
Uh-huh.
doesn't talk.
Yeah.
And so he has to figure out what is I'm sorry. He has to figure out what is bothering her or what's
Mm-hmm.
making her act out or what's making her scream or tear things up, things like that. And so he has said that basically it's to the point where he can't work
Mm.
because of his child. And he was saying it gives him great depression,
Yeah.
because he went from making 80,000 a year, coming out of making, well, just I'll say that I don't give too much information,
Mm-hmm.
but making 80,000 a year to now virtually nothing.
Mm.
And so he was like, the mother passed away. So that's why he ended up getting custody of the little girl. And then basically,
Right.
yeah, it's a lot. So then he basically said, man, it's crazy. The source of my depression is also the same thing that keeps me going.
The source
And
of
so
my
basically, yeah, source
same
of
thing that keeps
depression.
you going.
So yeah, so it's like, you know, taking care of his, I don't know, this sounds crazy, but unless you have a child with special needs or someone with disabilities, it can be a toll just
Mm.
having to do all of that, and then not having a support system to help you take care of that child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he was like, it caused him a great deal of depression, but the same thing, she's the reason that keeps him going. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
despite the mother passing, despite all the difficulty, he's like, I gotta keep pushing for her.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do it, who will?
Who gonna show up for his daughter if he don't see? So that's a prime example there, man. That's a story like imagine a battle like that. Now I know people that might be tuning in, y'all dealing with y'all own personal battles in life, but look at that person's battle there in comparison to yours. Um, How is that? Is your stuff lighter than that? Is the burden that you get now in life lighter than that, or what? Or comparable? But if it's lighter, look at the how that person is experiencing that experience in life and how they finding something positive in it. Finding the good in it. So how can you do the same thing in your life? Right. Or if you have something comparable to that situation, how can you do the same thing to show you that it's possible with, how he's doing it with his particular life. And my heart, goes out to him and his family, man. And I'm
Yeah,
throw some prayers that way. And you mentioned
for
another,
sure.
you mentioned some more. You have
Yeah, that was
one?
another one. I had saw this guy on a near death experience.
Uh-huh.
This guy contracted or caught HIV.
Hmm.
And so they had pronounced him, you have so many weeks to live.
Yeah.
And so in the time, he did actually pass, but he ended up coming back.
Yeah.
And so during that time, they said, well, we don't know what happened, but we're only gonna give you, a couple days at best, a couple weeks. We don't see you making it much further, that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
so he went on and lives a whole nother year.
Yeah.
And then all the symptoms and everything that they found in his blood disappeared.
Hmm.
And so he's living with that. Then a year later, it happens again back in the hospital. This time they tell him, well, you only got 2 days to live.
Dang.
And
Yeah.
so he's like, all right, I already done been through this one time before. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Y'all don't know what could happen. Or so I'm just gonna set my intentions and I'm gonna believe that, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it was he had said, you know, getting HIV and AIDS was the best thing that happened to him.
Mm.
And he said because when he had did his life review, when he had passed for that temporary moment, the question was, did he live his life to the fullest?
Uh, mm,
Did was he living out his potential?
yeah,
Could he say he lived authentically and that he was upfront with people and he was honest with people about how he felt about them?
yeah,
And the answer was no. So he said throughout all of it, it changed his life because now he says I can live authentically. I can say that I'm living my purpose.
yeah,
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be, what I'm here to do. And so it was just, that was very interesting to me. You would think somebody in that situation wouldn't, you think they'd be angry at the world.
yeah. Mad at the world with a situation like that. Man, that's interesting. And I guess he ended up learning some tools to kind of help him to get over, kind of cure himself, so to speak. Is that what you
Yeah,
mentioned
that's
before?
what he did say that.
Hmm.
He said it was, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I don't I don't know the details of that. I don't want to go. Yeah, I don't want to. He said he did cure himself, but you know,
Gotcha. Man, but yeah, like I know a lot of people tuning in, man. A lot of y'all, which all of us, man, we have our ups and downs. You're gonna have your battles in life. That's a part of life. With every decision you make in life, you're gonna deal with whatever the repercussion of whatever that decision is, physically, energetically, spiritually.
right?
And my life, I didn't had a number of different things happen, man. And from divorces to,
Yeah,
uh keep me and, my kid having not being on the same accord, feeling like we, have a separation. With teenagers sometimes and with men or parents sometimes. I gotta say that because you
mhm.
bring yourself to any situation in every situation. So you have to, own your part in things. But yeah, it's a lot that we go through, man. And like I say, in my personal life, man, I have those things with, business, dealing with, the clients I've had to deal with over the past years and feuds with them, or, some of them, talking about, hey, I want to, come see you, you know what I'm saying? And everybody knew where I was at. I'm in the studio, just there in a physical location. So if anybody had any type of issue with me, then they, people be like, oh, you know where to find me. They knew exactly where to find me at. Uh,
Yeah,
from that stuff to, just closing the business after 20 years and then looking up and it's like, man, what am I gonna do now? Okay, what type of financial space am I in now? Okay, I should have put some more money back. Okay, I don't have a normal job like everybody else, which, when I was in the midst of those years of being, self-employed, beautiful and, maybe looking at other people having to go clock in and do something they might not have desired to do as much as I desired to do what I did in music. Looking at that benefit then, but then when you outside of that space and you looking back at it like, man, should I had to close things out? What am I gonna do now? What am I gonna do without music? Music has been my life, from a kid up until just the end of last year. But then looking at that little time of being out of music and looking at the significance of it and the lessons in it, like, okay, I had some time to reset. I had some time to learn myself more, to learn more about faith, to experience ups and downs financially, downs and ups financially,
yeah,
and to be
yeah.
looking like, okay, how's this bill gonna get paid? How is that bill gonna get paid? That bill is coming up, and then it being solved in a magical, faithful way, so to speak. But if I didn't, I'm thankful for this experience because if I didn't have it, then I wouldn't have dived into faith and belief as much as I have now, which I'm gonna need this for the next phase of my life because you around here with all these multiple millions and a lot of money coming in, dealing with a lot of different, let's just say celebrities for what people call them. Um, but being able to navigate that space in a way to where I have more power,
Right,
have more faith. I have, when some of those situations may not go ideal, being able to reflect back on the unideal times in life, but the lessons I got from them and carrying that lessons over, forward into, my new life and new situation. So that's my experience of finding the good and bad. Like I say, going through a divorce, man, and then looking up and it's like, okay, what am I gonna do now, man? It's like I'm just a guy that's really into marriage and having a person because I feel like most of my mind power and focus, I want to, definitely put that in my person and my wife, but I want to not have to be able to, or not be mind just twisted focusing on all these different multiple women, so to speak, because I feel like that energy I could be putting it into business or in myself and being better, or something more beneficial. So,
Right.
but having that time to myself, man, I look back on it in the time when I was, on the other end of that marriage, I was like, man, what am I gonna do now, Lord? This, why that? I know I'm the one who, initiated the divorce, and what am I gonna do now? My family, what I'm saying, my kid, my daughter, what the heck, what am I, doing as a man? Just kind of like, am I abandoning my family or what this or what that? But in that time that I had in myself, I ended up being able to reflect more, get more into self-improvement, start working out, start juicing, what I'm saying? I think I eliminated salt out of my diet at the time and just got in a big space of prayer and meditation and learning more about myself and more about God, which gave me that renewing strength that I need to move into my new relationship, new relationships in life and to be a better person. And that's probably the time when I started to make that, that 180 and turn around and be this different version of myself that you wasn't technically used to at first because like, man, hold on, KB, you a completely different, saying, version of yourself. I remember you mentioning that, like,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
people start coming in the studio, they like, man, you are not what I expected. I was thinking that you were gonna be like this or like that. And man, I just did a complete shift, man, and complete turnaround, which if I didn't have that time to be what some people might call in the wilderness, then I wouldn't have had time to learn and grow. So that was me finding positivity in that particular situation, man, and situations. And now I can look back on it and be like, man, I'm thankful. And as you notice, a lot of people in life that you might see biographies on or success stories of celebrities that you see they life in one of these docu videos or whatever they might do, stories on them or movies on them, a number of them people be mentioning how they wouldn't change anything. And at first
mhm,
I couldn't understand that. I'm like,
yeah,
man, you was abused at this age, your dad abused your dad, what I'm saying, abused your mom did this, your mom sent you out, to these other guys, all of this. And you mean to tell me you wouldn't change any of that? You wouldn't wipe that away? But then people say that all of that made me who I am today, and I like who I am as a person.
exactly,
You know?
exactly,
So,
exactly. We were saying in the comedic spectrum when I was practicing that either you could be a god or a victim, but you can't be both.
uh,
You know what I'm saying? You could either
uh,
be in a place of empowerment
mhm,
or you could be a victim and be down here,
mhm,
but you can't be both of them. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, you know what I mean? You can only operate in one end of one spectrum of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like you either vibrating high or you vibrating low, but there's no in between of that. You know what I mean? So, um, just like you, I've had a lot of if we were in church, say trials and tribulations, you know what I mean? Some self-brought and some stuff that I didn't, wasn't trying to cause or didn't cause at all, but it found me somehow or another. But um I guess when I was in practicing comedic spirituality, that's what kind of shifted me because it helped me to, focus on gratitude and affirming things and affirmations and the fact that that there's always something to look forward to. There's always something that is positive going on, despite whatever else may be going on. There's always something good that you can hang your hat on. And so for me, after losing everything several times or losing majority of things or, majority of things, I had to sit there and realize one, I have some issues. I'm the problem in some areas. And then some areas you got to be like, well, it was time. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yep.
Certain relationships ended. It was time. You know what I mean? Nothing to get depressed about, nothing to be sad about. Even though I was depressed and I was sad, you know what I mean? I was depressed and sad when my wife left. I was depressed and sad when friends left. But, at the end of the day, there's purpose in everything.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, people that I thought were friends weren't friends.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I can understand that space 'cause I done had some people, man, that when I was younger, man, mom kept us in the house a lot, so that's kind of what put me in the space of starting to be in the music space because I started taking apart pieces of equipment, turning pinball
Hmm.
machines into doorbells, all of this stuff. Then my dad, I guess he used to be a DJ when he was in the military overseas in Germany for the Shriners or something, he said. So even though he wasn't DJing anymore, he still had like records and record players and cords and headphones. So since moms kept us in the house, I was there and actually just, would find things to try to take apart and play with and connect or whatever. So on that journey of doing that, it caused me to be able to find myself in the music space. And
Yeah.
once I started, going down the music road and um, I started picking up friends, I guess you would call it, because I really didn't have friends from being inside a lot, so to speak. We weren't out going into the neighborhood much, or because I was kind of I want to say was forced to kind of be inside a lot. It caused me to be more reclusive, to be inside emotionally, to
Mhm.
be inside, as far as opening myself up to have friends. But when I started actually allowing friends in my life, man, some crazy things would happen. Like guys would be at the house, they supposed to be in a rap group with me, and then I look up and they done stole something or they done stole money, and I just couldn't believe it because I'm like, man, how could a person that was so cool with or did so much good stuff for can do something bad to you? I that was a lesson
Yeah.
that I learned in life then from that because I'm
Yeah.
like, man, how in the world could somebody that you do so much good stuff for, how could they not reciprocate that and just do something bad instead? But then the lesson was, okay, hey, everybody ain't your friend, right? You know what
Everybody,
I'm saying? You
come
just,
on, Mo three.
you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, exactly. Everybody ain't your friend. Um,
Yeah.
so I learned that valuable lesson that everybody ain't your friend. And even if you do something good for somebody, don't expect, what I'm saying, them to reciprocate and do that good thing in return because sometimes
Yeah.
it does take away from the good thing of what you're trying to do. That's like going to, I'm finna give this homeless gentleman $20, but then you looking like, hey, man, I did that $20 for you, but you need to do something for me, man. Wash my car, you know what I'm saying? Wash my windshield. Now you need to do something, in exchange for that $20. Or if I need $20, I need to be able to pull up on you and you give it to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes that kind of cancels out the good deed of what you're trying to do. So I
Yeah.
definitely I learned that lesson then with that. And to, protect yourself, protect your energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, everybody on
And
their
I,
own growth path. I'm listening. Go ahead.
yeah, and I learned the same thing. I had saw a quote one time on Facebook. And he said, "Stop complaining about everybody sucking you dry when you gave them the straw."
Oh, see?
You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so it's like I realized too, like I would go out of the way to make sure there wasn't confrontation or issues with people. And
Hmm.
so I would call myself being overly friendly or over, over giving
Yep.
when I didn't have to, you know what I mean? And realizing that one thing I learned is that people gonna take. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Oh.
Like if you offer it, if it's free, they gonna take it. You know what I mean? Very few people gonna be like, nah, man, I don't need that. I'm good. Da, 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 da. That kind of thing. You keep offering them long enough, they gonna take some. You know what I mean? And so, I just realized that, it's important to build relationships that's not primarily built off of stuff.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I heard it was some person giving some wise wisdom. Who was that? Will Smith. Man, he got this quick interview that he did. It's this guy that got a channel called School of Hard Knocks, and he just walk up on millionaires and billionaires and people like that and just ask them, how did you become to be a millionaire? How did you get this car? Da, da, da. Real confident guy. But when Will Smith was giving these gems, man, I suggest y'all go watch that. But Will Smith was saying like how people who have, a lot of money, it gets to the point to where you can get over the threshold of having a lot of money to where it's kind of hard to find friends after that because everybody sees you as a dollar sign. He said it in a more eloquent or elegant way. He said that once you get over, he said something like, a million a year or something like that, then you get in the space of people looking at you like you a beneficial person. Like, man, dude getting all this money, like, man, I got this idea and I need some money for it. Or I got this health issue and I know I can call them. Or hopefully I can call them because they get money. You know what I'm saying? They got all these millions and people get to looking at you as that. And then, friends that or people that come in that could be optional friends or whatever, you don't know if they're ideal because they coming at you knowing that, or they coming to you in their time and space of knowing how you are, financially, knowing how well off you are. So it's hard to find, authenticity in that sometimes. So, but that was a good little, I guess, lesson that he ended up, mentioning on that podcast, on one of the podcasts. It was like a little interview thing, a quick little street interview, which was actually dope. I suggest y'all check it out. But yeah, we go through a lot of stuff in life, man. It's a lot of lessons we can get from it if we allow ourselves to get the lesson. And the good thing about getting the lessons in some of those times is sometimes it will alleviate that negative emotion that you might have had attached to it. Sometimes it might alleviate some sort of pain or ailment you have because in doing certain types of therapy, we learn in some techniques that some of these manifestations of pain or chronic illness or disease might be manifestations of negative emotions that a person has harbored in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And it might manifest into a cancer. It might manifest into diabetes or high blood pressure. But we noted, or I had noticed in this actual modality of therapy, that when we can help a client get the actual lesson from that particular experience, then those ailments are released, right?
Yeah.
You see some of them people that, there's even been people that had cancer, like, leukemia and stuff. And when they get to the point to where they actually get the lesson, excuse me, of whatever particular situation that evoked that, the initial sensitizing event that evoked or caused that a snowball of ailment to start to occur or disease start to occur. Once they get the lesson from that event, then that disease or chronic illness or pain resolves, which is dope. And I've seen it, right in front of my eyes. A person dealing with pain or back pain is like, I just can't um, do anything with this back pain. It's been so and so many years, but then, we get this therapy going, and then they find a lesson of it, and then they bending over backwards and like, oh, wait a minute, I ain't been able to do this in so long, and the pain is gone. So it's more beneficial than what you think to actually find a lesson in some of these situations. Sometimes you might have had loss. Some of y'all have experienced loss. A lot of us have. But holding on to that sorrow, holding on to that anger for the person who may have took the person out, or anger for some people have anger for God because they're like, why did you take my special love on a friend at this time?
Yeah.
And sometimes in that, it could be considered to be selfish because this is another being that you did not create, so to speak. Or sometimes it might be a child that a person has created. But I say all of that to say this, that in the midst of all of those situations, some of those people that have transitioned and moved on to the other side and passed away, they may be in a better space, right? They may be looking at you like, why is this person still carrying the sorrow? Why is this person still carrying the sadness? Why is this person not being able to get up this day and live their best life and sitting inside of the house in a room in the dark, in a depressive state because I'm gone? I wish they could see me and feel my energy and see where I'm at right now. I'm in the most grandest places, even more grander than the life I was just in. I'm in the most brighter color place, more loving and better than the earth that I just resided in, right? But then this person is down here holding on to all this pain, sorrow because of this loss. And then it's, I understand people do it because they value the person. That's their version of showing how much they love and value this person. But you can look for a lesson in that. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what the lesson is because it's personal for each individual, right? But look for it. I encourage you on here to look for that lesson. Figure out what that lesson is in those situations in life that bring you the most despair or pain or most negative emotions you can imagine. Entertain yourself by trying to look for a lesson in it, a positive lesson, and then see what happens. You might look up and then be lighter. Now you can fly and soar a little higher because some of these weights have been released that you don't need. Because you still got to live your life here. You still got to show up and be the best for yourself, as well as, your loved ones, whether it's kids, family, spouses. You got to be your best self. You deserve to be your best self for yourself and then for them, right? To be that light. Yeah, that's what's up. Well, I know we was kind of tired today. We didn't have a long day. A lot didn't happen. Sound off been ripping all around the different cities or whatever you've been doing today. I'm sure with the work that you
No.
do. Yeah, but you said your mental space is all right. How you know,
Yeah, mental space is good, man. Mental space is good.
man.
It's
That's
not bad for Friday the 13th.
okay. Oh yeah, I was seeing something about Friday the 13th that Aaron, one of those channeling ladies, had posted. This
Yeah.
black girl, and she was talking about how it's the wrong meaning to it. It actually is a meaning. Friday the 13th is really a day for you to, get into some energy to be able to, manifest some positive things. See, finding the
Yeah, I can see
good and what
that.
considered to be the
Finding
bad, right?
good in
See
anything.
that?
Yeah,
See that? We ain't
yeah.
even try to do it really, but it
I
came
ain't
up.
gonna lie, because today they started out rocky. I woke up late,
Uh-huh.
and from there it was just
Right.
snowballing.
See, look, man, you here having a good conversation, man. You
But
smiling,
yeah,
you
I'm having a
laughing.
good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and laugh, and that's the thing. Like sometimes you have to be able to laugh at yourself or laugh at the situation, because at the end of the day, life is short. That is truth. You know what I mean? Life is temporary. I remember being in church and they would say time is in swift transition.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Hmm.
like, before you know it, you look up, it's gone.
Hmm. Life is
So you might as
a
well
vapor.
enjoy it. Huh?
They mentioned something about life being like a vapor.
Yep, being like a vapor.
Uh-huh.
Yep,
Man,
yep.
imagine that, the vapor coming off of the rice or the noodles that you boil in a thing,
Man.
and that vapor, how quick it evaporates.
Yep.
So, the time that hey, the little time that you have, you might as well spend as much as you can trying to be as positive as you can and looking for the good
Yeah.
in the midst of everything that you experience in life as much as you can. And then that good will open you up to actually, be open for other good things to come in. You about to say something, brother?
And I was gonna say, as far as like counting your blessings, like a friend of mine will say, well, that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
If you woke up this morning, that's a win.
Yeah.
If your eyes work, that's a win. Your hearing work, that's a win. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking,
Yep.
you're able to speak, that's a win. If you're able to move your body, that's a win. If
Come
your
on.
kids are okay, that's a win. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like, if you still got a job, that's a win. Like, I know things may not be ideal and it may not be perfect and it may not be the way that you want it, but as long as you're able to look at something
Hmm.
and find some good in there, find some joy. Is worth living, is worth continuing, is worth fighting, is worth, giving your best effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, like one thing I did, like when I was looking at the Bible when I was a preacher,
Hmm.
there was a text, that everybody quotes, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. You got that on bumper stickers, you got that
Yep.
on t-shirts, you got that on church billboards, you know
Well, I
what I'm
just had it
saying?
on a shirt, and I think a lady was saying it was her favorite
Bible
scripture in
scripture.
church.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
But what's interesting, the writer of that text basically said, I know how to abase, I know how to abound, I know how to be high, I know how to be low.
Hmm.
I've learned how to become content. You know what I'm saying? And it basically gives the imagery of the school of hard knocks. Life is the school of hard knocks. You know what I mean? Life is Earth is a training ground, is a testing ground. You know what I'm saying? But the key to life and all that we go through is contentment.
Man, come on,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, what you just said right there. Hey, you got to choose a side. What side do you want to choose in each situation? And I'm hoping you're making that right decision. But yeah, I hope y'all stay blessed out here and y'all doing blessed. And if you're not and you feel like you're in a negative mental space, feel free to go to mentalcoachkev.com. I got a free stress anxiety relief audio there that you can get as well as if you want to book a session with me. I'm a pretty cool guy from what people say, and people say I do great work, and I consider myself to be a expert. That kind of rhymes. See, they're on the music side, that's the other side. But yeah, most definitely. If y'all want to find me, man, y'all can find me on social media platforms at Mental Coach Kev. And if you want to find Sound Off the Great, how do they find you? Sound Off the General.
Find me on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, also Spotify, Apple Music, if you want to check out some music.
Yeah. Was bro just released something and it sound off the general. I said the great, just saying great because
Hey,
a
I
great
take
band,
it.
accept it.
I
But yeah,
take it.
sound off the general on all platforms. Y'all go check him out. Go listen to some of his music. He's had a lot of different life experiences and he's still here to talk about it. Which shows
Man,
a lot, man. That shows a lot of strength, man.
man, a lot of it. And there have been several opportunities where I could have lost my life.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? From police to ex family members, ex friends, you know what I'm saying? Like things could have went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
but I am still here to tell. And that means I still have purpose and I still have reason to keep going. And so maybe someone might be in the same situation that I've been in. There's still purpose. If you're still breathing, there's still time, there's still hope, there's still chance.
Man, great way to end it, man. Love you, brother. We're gonna get
They
on up
too.
out of here then. All right, y'all be blessed.